nonverbal communication more important than the words you use? I want to preface today's talk with three major points. The first one is a position of a coach is a position of power. Exaggerated power when you're coaching children versus the adults, right? So if I'm an adult player and my coach tells me something and I don't agree with it, I have a choice whether or not I want to do it, and I can actually say, no, I'm not going to do that. As a child, when we're coaching children, they don't have that authority to just say, no, I'm not going to do it, especially in the younger ages. So you have to remember that you're in a position of power and you have to treat it respectfully when you're coaching, especially variable ages. The second point I want to talk about is the difference between male versus female coaches. Male coaches project more power and dominance than female coaches just by simply being of the male species. This goes back to our evolutionary history. Men were our protectors. When they said something in a certain tone or a certain intensity, we had to take notice to make sure that we were safe. This is still projected today, and it's very noticeable in the younger ages when male coaches come into the gym versus female coaches. You really see this interaction transpire in this way. The third point I want to talk about is knowing your audience, right? Players come with different experience levels. We have a group of little girls in our program, a 16, 14, and 12-year-old, all of the same family, and they are adorable little girls. They're giggly, soft, feminine little girls. We have another family of a single child that lives with her mother and very, very independent. How I approach these two girls, I actually have to think about as I'm approaching them and how much I can push them and how much my intensity or how much my tone of voice has an influence on them. All the way to the point of, am I pushing them or am I shutting them down and having them really just react to how I'm coming at them? So I really want you to think through knowing your audience from player to player to get the most out of them. So nonverbal communication statistics. Let's talk a little bit about the statistics around this topic, right? Words account for only 7% of the communication we're trying to get across. Tone of voice accounts for 38%. The tone of voice, 38%. And body language accounts for 55% of the actual message that's getting across versus the words. Huge, huge, huge in what you're really trying to communicate and what you're trying to get out of your players. So this gentleman, it doesn't matter what words are coming out of his mouth. His body language, his intensity is saying something that could be completely different than the words that are coming out of his mouth. You really have to think through how you're projecting yourself in order for the words that you're trying to convey to be picked up and received and acted upon. So let's break down tone of voice. Tone of voice isn't what we say, but it's how we say it. It's the sound of our words and the personality we communicate. It involves inflection, volume, intensity, pitch, etc. So let's talk about volume. Volume, is it loud or is it soft? Sometimes our gym dictates that, but many times we can control that in a practice setting. Intensity, the energy behind the words. How intense are you when you're talking? Or are you softer? Are you bringing it back and reeling it back in and being approachable? How about the pitch? This is a big one, especially when you're a new coach and stress is around, right? You're trying to process everything. How about the difference of your pitch in practice versus tournament? Are you creating the same environment in practice that you're creating in tournament? And then the last one is inflection, and this one honestly is a big one. Inflection is the way we bend a word. So by that I mean, if I say the word, hey, right, I've bent that word up. Or I can say the word, hey, and I can clip it off. Those are the same word, two different inflections, two different meanings when I really get down to what I'm saying to you. Hey, hi, how are you doing? How's it going? Or, hey, that means stop. Stop right there. Think about what you're doing. Two different ways of doing it.